Good morning everyone. It's probably about 5:05 one Sunday morning in May 2022 and I'm at Vines Cross. Another one of those places you didn't know. Somewhere I've never been either. I'm visiting 1, 2, 3 of those places this morning that I've never been to. But I know where they are. I know a little bit about them. You'll hear the bird song. The sun's not even up yet. And we're going to go in towards the village in a minute. I don't know much about Vines Cross. Difficult to find out anything through research, except that it's probable it's got its name in about 1595 from a gentleman called John Vine, the vintner of Hellingly. And this was certainly a major wine growing area at the time, and apparently it still is. There's a few vineyards around. We're in the Horham area, of course, which was once the home of the famous Merrydown winery. So you get a clue as to the industry, and of course as we're heading up the hill we're also going into the realms of the Sussex iron industry. For the other side of Vines Green, where I'm not actually going to go this morning, there's supposed to be the remnants of one of the old dams up the road a bit. So there's a... Ooh, listen to that, they don't like me being here, do they? God. So anyway, I'll just walk a little bit up here and not exactly the most PC of names here. Bullsock Lane. But there is the remains of an oast. I say the remains, it's in use as a private dwelling, but or is it? Yes, I would say it is. So I'm not going to go too close. The thing that's missing at the top, of course, is the cowl. But that's quite an interesting thing to start a visit to the... It's still got a pub, I think, and I'll find out in a minute as we go up the road. So probably still a village rather than hamlet. Let's go have a look, shall we? I notice as I come up the road the houses got a bit more modern. I say modern, probably late 19th century I would guess. I don't think much earlier than that. Though there probably are to be found the odd one or two further out of the village. There was a forge here at one time, but now what we've got left is the garage, which seems to still be in business, and I must just there is the sun just beginning to rise, and we still have the pub here. The Brewer's Arms. It appears to be still in business, which is rather nice. Quite an interesting village cross here. Not village cross. Village sign. Probably another one of these that went up in the early 2000s. and they were suddenly found all over Sussex like a rash. But it is nice to see them, and I like the owl at the top. But what interests me, and I'm not sure that that's a particularly old building, but it's the sign on the side. So that has definitely got an age to it. Interesting. Of course it's got an age to it. Not much of an age. I mean, 5 o'clock odd in the morning, you have to forgive me, sometimes the brain just gets totally addled. I was so taken by the shape of the sign and its resemblance to an older sign. I mean, that should have screamed at me, email arkmotors@yahoo.co.uk. I do not know why it didn't. And I will be mentioning very shortly another sign on the side of the building saying that's an old one. It's not. And I'm sorry for saying that. Just put it down to senility and an early morning. These things happen. Arc. That's amazing what you find. Look what I found here. What have we got? A little Morris commercial. Is it? With an engine on the back. Oh, that's a Dodge. Just goes to show how wrong you can be, doesn't it? No wonder the registration was a bit late in the day. But that's as far as Vines Cross goes this way. So, whoops. There's another sign in there. Arc Motors, UK Limited. That keeps going back a while, isn't it? Just over there, there's some new houses. This used to be a thriving little place. There was a post office, a bakery, which I think was just down there, a school, shop, post office. Excuse me. And there you've got basically a garage and a pub and some houses, and that's Vines Cross. But it's a lovely sunrise this morning. I don't know if I can get a nice shot of it later, we'll see. I'm not going to walk down there, I'm heading down that way now towards my next destination, but it's only 5 degrees out here. It's not really warm enough to be walking around, but this is the newer bit of Vines Cross. Quite tastefully mixed in with the old. This is a bit of a drive-by from the car. Don't need to stop very long, but that's the old school here at Vines Cross. It's private property, so can't get in there. Welcome to Warbleton, place I've never been to before, but it still has a K6 telephone, and you can make a phone call from here. And here we are on Church Hill. You'd probably call it a hamlet. more than a village now. The old sign is here, the Warbleton Inn. Not at all sure that it is still a pub. I have a feeling it's probably private houses now. Although, having said that, looking inside, oh no, it's still a pub. There's a covered over bar billiards table by the looks of it there, and some lovely what do you call them, wooden cross timbers. This is a lovely row of houses, and I must just pan round here because the sun is rising over the Wheeldon ridges. Just wondering what that was there. I wonder if that was an old... Was that an old oven maybe? I wonder. A lot of these old houses had ovens in the side built into chimneys, but that's not a chimney, so I guess an oven it was not. But I can't get over this row of cottages. Aren't they beautiful? There's a trouble is, I don't want to invade on people's privacy, but when there's you get a plaque or something on the side there, can we read that, I wonder? Presented to, I know. I hope you can read that. I'm going to go and walk a bit closer to it, see if I can read it. It's getting very 1866. George Darby. A Dorking? No. Formby. Anyway, presented to George Darby, 1866. Now, I've been doing a bit of digging. The Darbys were local landowners for several hundred years, and they owned the Markley estate in Warbleton, the big Markley house plus a lot of buildings around it. So I'm thinking these buildings were not presented to George Darby. I'm wondering if it's the sculpture above that plaque, for whatever reason, was presented to him in 1866. The family itself owned the whole estate until 1931 when it was sold. But I can't find out anything more than that. And sorry, I have tried. So, yes. But this is what I come to see. This is what I come to see. The church. And one quick last look back down the hill. This is the Church of St Mary the Virgin at Warbleton, and I'm just look at that. I'm going to come back a bit because I want to get a picture I want to get a photo. I'm going to stop filming now because I want to frame it. There we are. Parish Church St Mary the Virgin, Warbleton. Now, the oldest parts of this church date back to the 13th century. And the church itself is built on the site of a Neolithic burial mound. Other parts of the church are later, and certainly some interesting looking graves around here. This set of stained glass windows, I don't know if I can get into the church. I very much doubt it at this time of the morning. From the inside with the sun shining on them, I'm sure they're going to look really beautiful. Warbleton itself is actually named after a Saxon lady. Well, this is something you don't see very often. It's my understanding is that these are just coffin rests, where the coffin would just be put temporarily while they either waited for the service to start or for the grave arrangements to be finished. But you don't see many of them around. This could also be known as a tomb recess. You do find them inside a lot of churches, and coffins or sculptures of the dead person are often laid to rest there. As I said before, I haven't really noticed any on the outside of many churches. Whether this was used just as a coffin rest, or whether there might once upon a time have been some kind of tomb in there, I have not been able to find out, but it's an interesting little add-on to the architecture. Anyway, what was I saying? Oh yeah. In the Kingdom of the South Saxons, there were probably only half a dozen women that actually owned property. And I probably get the pronunciation all wrong, but a lady called Warbleton owned this particular area. Yes, there's a door here, but I don't think I'm even going to try it. It looks as though it's well and truly locked. I'm not going to try and force the issue at this time of the morning. Sorry if that disappoints anyone, but it's only 20 to 6 and I really don't want to cause too many ructions. One of the church wardens here was a Richard Woodman, and he was one of the Tolpuddle martyrs that burnt at the stake in Lewes in 1557, with the largest group of human beings ever gathered together and burnt at the stake. They were the Lewes martyrs in the time when Mary the First, was it? Was persecuting the Christians. And here is something that was put up in 1886. Oops a daisy. His house was close by. He was a farmer, iron master, burnt in Lewes, 1557. So for a little place, there's a lot of history here. And I'm just going, I'm standing at the bottom of the tower, and there's some, I don't think you'd call them gargoyles, escutcheons probably, would they be a better name for them? Very strange. It's funny how in these areas around East Sussex here, there's this almost a thing for castellated church towers. This was probably built in the 17th century, something like that. There's another door here with another set of stained glass windows. It's a pity I can't go inside the church, because I can only imagine the scene inside, looking towards that other big stained glass window at the other end where the sun is shining right on it. Anyway, I'm standing here and I'm looking over towards Horham, Maynard's Green, Heathfield, that kind of area. It's cold, the fingers are freezing. There's another old building there, I don't know quite what that is. I say old, certainly not as old as a church. Maybe at one time it was a small tithe barn, perhaps. But anyway, as I pan round, oh, that's rhododendrons maybe. But the sun is rising on Warbleton Church, and you may think it's quite a size for such a small area, but it is the parish church also for Rushlake Green and one or two other areas. And there's more of those discussions on the side. It's really a lovely place this time of the morning with the bird song. And one last piece of information to finish with. There's a connection with Mad Jack Fuller, as seems to be the case quite a few places around here. The Levitt family had this manor for several centuries, and they were the ones that owned Bodgham Castle, eventually selling it to a chap called Mr. Turton. Have I got that right? Yes, Mr. Turton. He was the first Earl of Thanet, and from him it was purchased by Mad Jack Squire John Fuller of Brightling. And we'll hear a little more of him again later on. But for the time being, look at the view over there. My word. You can see why they built the church here, can't you? What a commanding view all over the area. Lovely. Excuse me. Couple more host houses over there. What a lovely little place. Lovely little place. Oh dear. As I walk around the corner again towards the gate. Oh, I wonder. I'm not sure, but I think looking through those windows you can see how the sunlight is going through the big stained glass windows at the end of the church there. And what a shame that it's all locked up and I can't get in there to show you. Never mind. Onwards and upwards, and I'll move on to my next port of call. Well, as you can see, I've closed out after only 2 visits. I didn't realise how long it's going to take me to do those 2, but the rest is in the can and will be along soon.